I had that dream again. My small business needs to hire, but I don't use LinkedIn, and I hire wrong. So our orders get all backed up. We're drowning in paperwork, then actually drowning. Carol is fighting off sharks with a stapler, and pirates are pillaging the office copier, and then I wake up.
Don't let hiring nightmares ruin your dreams. LinkedIn Jobs' new AI assistant goes beyond the resume, using unique insights to deliver a smarter shortlist. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/quality. Start hiring today with LinkedIn.
Welcome to the Bare Naked ABC's Turning the Page, where we're discussing every single Stephen Page individual solo work, starting and going in chronological disc order. And this week we are getting very close to the end of Vanity Project, and I am pleased that I have almost the whole group joining me this week. We're down one, might be down another in a minute. You heard Aaron hurt himself just now.
I didn't hurt myself. My cat decided to
launch off
object to me attempting to pick him
so
up.
as you can hear, we have Aaron and Betsy, and we also have an Allie.
Hello.
Hi.
And this week we will be discussing the song So Young, So Wrong, So Long. If you have not heard the song before, here is a quick snippet.
I'm no closer up despair. In fact, I'm lighter than the air. And you're so young, you're so wrong,
So this is the all penultimate song of the album. We're not quite there yet, but we will be soon. It was played. I think he likes this one quite a bit. He's played this one 23 times live over the years, and a number of times that he has done it has not just been live from home. He's done it in concert. So in 2010 and 2011, he pulled this out quite a few times, not just for the Vanity Project tour. And I guess it's not fair to say he likes this song more than the others. It's fair to say that probably this is a more concert audience friendly type song. Oh, my whole screen just changed diagram for some reason. So yeah, I would say that's probably fair to say. He played this once in 2011 at the Strand Theater in Rockland, Maine, which is partially owned by William Riker himself. So
I didn't know that.
I knew that he lived and taught film in Maine for
he and
a
his
long
wife
time.
both.
I didn't know
Yes,
that. Jonathan Frakes. Speaking of which, Mr. Frakes, we know you listen. Please come on the show.
I've invited him. He won't answer. He and his wife, they're too busy with theater in Rockport.
Yeah.
But let's discuss this song. Who would like to start?
Well, I can dive right in with breaking it down if you want me to.
Sure.
All right, So Young, So Wrong, So Long was recorded at approximately 145 and a half beats per minute, I'm going to say.
Approximately.
Yeah. In the key of E major. It's nice to have one that I'm sure is a really straightforward song sonically. The verse goes basically just E to A, E to A, E to A. So 1 4 1 4 1 4 into the chorus, which is B-A-E or Bay for all you younger millennials or maybe older Gen Zers out there, which is 5-4-1. So really classic 1-4-5 pop rock stuff. Very straightforward, very simple, but really well done. Nice head nodding beat. And then in the bridge, this is where it gets a little interesting. So we have F sharp minor to A to E, which is 2-4-1, into B and then A, which is 5-4, which sets us up nicely to go back into the tonic E major for the verse. The final verse is the same, but the final time through the chorus changes it up a little bit, and we get a B to A to C sharp minor, which is the 6, really nice. Then F sharp minor, you go back to the 2, and then B, A, E, and then we just vamp on E until the end. And the structure is verse 1 is your A changes, chorus B changes, verse 2 A, chorus B, bridge C. That's I read your book. Verse 3 is A again, and then chorus is B. So ab cab, and that's again very straightforward, very simple kind of traditional pop rock format and chord changes. But you know, as I always like to say, sometimes simple is good. You know, I do like complex music, but I can appreciate a simple song if it's done well, which I would say this song is done very well. Can anyone help me identify that song, the sound at the beginning of the song in the background, and also it's there, it's under the guitar and it cuts off at the verse. It's also there after the second verse or after the second chorus.
Can you play it, Tracy?
I'm
You
gonna
have the capability?
try.
I can try to listen.
It almost sounds like a hurdy-gurdy, but like just the drone, like just the low string, like very, very softly. Because there's a grinding sound to it, almost like someone's like kind of turning to hurdy-gurdy, and then you get really maybe a low that I'm not picking up. It's like so subtle. Other than that, I don't know what it would be, but it certainly seems to be intentional because it's not there after the first chorus, but it comes back after the second chorus. So it's in the intro, it's in the second chorus, or it's in the instrumental interlude after the second chorus.
So when did you say it is?
And at the very beginning. And then it stops right when you start the second. See, it stopped at the end, coming out of the second chorus. You can hear it again.
I just thought it was tambourines.
And then again, coming out of the second chorus. Yeah, I hear that. That sounds like a hurdy-gurdy drone.
I will take your word for it.
I mean, I'm not saying I definitely know that's what it was, but I would be very curious if anyone can help identify it. Steven, we know you listen, come on the show. Yeah, I was fascinated by it because I wasn't able to place it. But anyway, yeah, I think it's a really straightforward song, very simple but very well executed, nicely done. And I will now shut up and allow everyone else to talk because I've been talking for too long.
Shut up with your shut up.
Yes.
Your input is valued.
Your call is very important to us.
Marianne.
Allie or Betsy or Tracy, anyone want to jump in?
Musically?
Yeah, or you know, we can talk about the lyrics as well.
Yeah, I was going to say musically, I'm not the person to ask about these things. I'm like, oh, I like the sound of that. What's that noise? So that's about as far as my musicality help goes.
I like the sound, the drum, whatever he's doing with the drums, and Aaron, maybe you can identify it. It sounds like it is almost hand claps. It's not hand claps, but it's definitely a drum technique. Probably something with the snare. But yeah, there's something he's doing there that I really, really like.
Exactly what point?
He does it throughout.
To?
Here, I'll do the screen share again, and you can.
There was something I heard that sounded like an electronic drum sound of a hand clap that he added in post.
I mean, it's definitely that could be it. Here, I'll play it again.
Yeah, that's like I recognize that sound from like a keyboard drum set.
Yeah,
sound bank. It's like a hand clap, like a very lo-fi. Which is interesting because it does seem to be either acoustic drums to a click, or maybe it's like being played on a keyboard or tracked out. But I I wasn't quite able to place the BPM, so there's a little bit of it seems like there's a little bit of sway, but maybe I just didn't get it quite right. Maybe they did something weird and it's like 145.25 BPM or something. I don't know. Steven likes to do weird things like that, or like slow or speed up songs ever so slightly. So it could be on a weird decimal point. But yeah, so it could be like nicely tracked drums and like Superior Drummer or something like that sound acoustic, or it could be live drums being like augmented with like a keyboard sound bank sound effect.
I usually have a problem when the drums don't sound realistic, when they sound electric, but because it's so sparse, because it's kind of it's kind of in there, but not constant, and it's not super high in the mix, I really like it. I also really like the sound. Like, to me, the song sounds very reminiscent of Youth, which I think is programmatic. We'll come back to that in a little bit.
Yes.
But like, as I listened to it for the umpteenth time this week, I kept thinking this is very 80s Duran Duran.
Well, that's appropriate
for probably a good reason.
Was Stephen Duffy in the background?
Is that for the vocals?
Most likely,
maybe.
Heard something other than
he's given credit.
Really like this. This sort of blends in with the lyrics discussion, but I really like the way that the backing vocals, the last word of the backing vocals will be the first word of the next part of the verse or whatever. Like the way they blend together. That's really nice. I like that a lot.
On the train, rain came down and washed away my youth.
And I really like, I guess it's not a chorus, I guess it's more of a refrain. I don't know, Aaron, you could tell me, but
it's a short chorus.
Yeah, it's very short, very quick, but I like how for that refrain, the chorus, it's like you have this soft, like very straightforward sound, and then in comes the chorus, and it's loud, raw, emotional, and then it backs off again.
Well, I grew up in the 90s and at the height of Nirvana madness with the really, quiet verse and the loud chorus. So like, I love that, obviously, or even like the Pixies, or something like that. I'm a big fan of huge dynamic contrast. So yeah, I also enjoyed that.
Well, and it goes along with kind of what's going on in the song as well. And so you have this almost internal monologue that is going on as he's hearing this conversation. So
Betsy, did you have any musical notes other than what you've already commented?
Not a ton, just that now that you mention it, it does drive in like a youthful, energetic kind of feel. And then it takes a break, and then I picture like the teenager oversleeping in his bedroom, maybe taking a break. But didn't have a lot to say musically, I suppose.
Yeah, I would say probably we're going to bring it up when we go into the lyrical content, talk about like at face value, this is a conversation between him and a young fan, but I wonder if it's more him having a conversation with a younger version of himself and like thinking about how he would judge himself or think about himself now, looking back as he was a teenager or something, because I think about that sometimes. I don't know if it's just me being very, very firmly in middle age now, but I do sometimes have those thoughts like, I wonder what, a teenager Aaron would think about the music that I write now or something like that,
What do you guys think?
Or to one of his sons.
Yeah.
Especially since one's in theater, one's in music, and one's...
Oh, I didn't know that.
His sons would have not,
but
they would have still been pretty
little.
young.
Yeah. 2000 and...
They would have been about 3-4 years old at this point.
Well, maybe he's kind of fantasizing like what it's gonna be like.
I personally think it's from the perspective of him talking to someone who idolizes him or who's a fan of his. Like the teenage kid recognize you from TV, like especially in that like teenager way. You're like, oh my god, look, it's so and so, and like you just like kind of go up to them, and it's like, kids, you think this is all great. Or
I will say that you guys are all really close, and I would say that Steven would say that you're all right, because he likes it when people have their own takes on songs, and it means to you what it means to you. But there is a canonical report from Steve about what this song actually means. So
Okay, lay it
I'll
on us.
hand it over to Steve.
This is a song about being 15 and sitting on the subway and looking to my right and seeing myself at age 35 sitting next to me and going, God, you're not as cool as I thought you were going to be. We in Bare Naked Ladies, we went to, if you know the songs, I think most of you do, there's a song Enid, which was, we stole the name from this waitress in Moncton, New Brunswick, and Ed and I talked about her, whatever, I guess, had talked about how we met this waitress named Enid, and we liked her name, and so we thought she was cool. And then years later, when that song was a hit, so maybe 3 years later, and Tyler hadn't been with us the first time, Tyler, our drummer, said, we met her, she came backstage, and he goes, wow, I thought you'd be a lot cooler. He hasn't changed. They forgot the manners part when they put them together. And, so anyways, this is just me doing the same thing to a grown-up version of myself.
Well, having met Enid, I can say I think she's pretty cool.
you've met Enid?
Yes.
Yeah, she was on the show.
Oh, was it when you discussed Enid?
Yes.
How did you track down Enid?
I don't even remember because it's so long back now.
What did she think? Maybe I'll have to go back and listen to that.
Very down to earth, very relaxed, just kind of an everyday person. She was pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not only vindicated, but I just feel like, to me, it really did seem like it was him. Like when he said, what was the line? Sorry, 1 second. I read your book and stole your look. Now it's sad how much like Dad you are. And then of course it blends into You Are a Star Is Burning Up. So yeah, I really, that's kind of what gave me the impression. Because I mean, I guess it could be like, the angry young kid who's like, oh, you're just like my dad or whatever. But it's like Dad, like, I don't know. Maybe it's him kind of having a conversation with himself. That's really interesting. I will say the line, and I believe this is as so commonly as the case with me, part of the no, actually it's not the bridge, it's the last verse. I thought it best not to hold him to my breast and say, sunshine, I'm not the only one who's dying. Of course that would appeal to me, but
it is an amazing line.
Represent Camus. But like, no, yeah, I mean,
thank you, but it's pronounced como.
Wow. But yeah, no, I mean, to me, it's just like, wow, it's I think it's a little profound, I mean, I do think that it really felt to me like somebody examining their own arrogance in their youth. And I do wonder, because I know this was officially before they broke up, but I'm sure that he was contemplating a lot, maybe a pending breakup or like kind of a Salisbury Hill kind of a situation, where he was kind of like, I know he was probably feeling really frustrated with the way that that B&L was going, with it being a lot more commercial. So I do feel like that was weighing on him, and he was like, man, what would my younger self think? Like, I got into this to be iconoclastic, I got into this to be a little different and not to just make pop rock, and like pop rock's fine. This is a pop rock song, and as I said, this is a very straightforward pop rock song, almost interestingly enough, maybe programmatically so. Again, like maybe this, like, he's like, well, I'm going to make something that's really straightforward, but I'm going to do interesting things with the lyrics and the way that the lines meld together, and I'm going to do interesting things with the dynamics and just kind of make it something unique and kind of cool. So, anyways,
So he
I
would
really
make
like the
music
song. As you
that's
can
lighter than that.
lighter.
Yeah, that's what he says in the song to himself. That he
Mm.
makes music. That he is a person that makes music
Oh,
that
that's
is
right.
lighter than that.
Lighter than the
It's
air.
one of the lines I really like because he says, you
Have you-
know, that he's not the grocer of despair. I don't know if anyone.
Leonard
I was
Cohen.
just
Yeah.
gonna say I didn't know if anyone would get that
Represent.
reference.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, hell yeah! I love
Yeah.
I
Leonard
think
Cohen.
that might be
Oh.
my favorite part, the grocer of despair.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
He,
But I don't think, I mean, I think if it, I don't like to be like super contrary, but I don't see how this would be about him thinking about an impending split 4 years before it happened, when there was, no real like sense of that. He probably, I think he definitely probably was, reflecting and all that, but I don't think you can tie this to the split at all.
I mean, we know that he was a little unhappy at that time with some of the directions that the band was going, but I don't think he'd been thinking about leaving at that point. But he was. There were definitely inklings of him being like,
Yeah.
I want
I think
things to be a little bit different than what they are. I want to do different.
I think Allie's
things.
right. It's probably more that in retrospect we can see the seeds of something that would grow into that. It's like maybe the early rumblings of maybe I want to do something a little different. Yeah. But I would agree. He probably wasn't contemplating walking out at that time. It's a little early for that.
Yeah, he was enjoying doing different things, and I think there was some frustration around some of the stuff, but I think this album was his way of also releasing some of that frustration too, and being able to do other stuff and outside of the band.
Do we know how the title of the album came about? Because I almost wonder if like one of the other band members mockingly or sarcastically referred to it as his vanity project, and he just decided to roll with it and make that the name of it.
I know he's mentioned it, but I can't like quite remember it. But I think it was a tongue-in-cheek title he came up with.
For sure.
But I think really how it came about was that they didn't want to have Duffy as a co-writer anymore. They didn't want to do those songs on B&L albums, so they had written a whole bunch of songs, or were writing a whole bunch of songs, and so they decided to put out their own project.
Oh, I'm glad he did, because I really like what I've heard.
So the
far.
project,
Yeah, I think he's always had that kind of wanderlust for other songwriters to team up with.
So the project's name came from a tape that was made for the project, which he jokingly named the Vanity Project. And then it subsequently was adopted seriously, as it was going along the process.
Yeah.
Well, what else do we think? Betsy, did you have a favorite line, or do you have a lyric that you really like?
I thought that grocer of despair was interesting too, but I didn't realize it was from Leonard Cohen. I like the whole epitaph, a hosted to his craft.
Yeah, very nice.
So
his younger self is very critical of him.
Yeah, it's very witty, very strong on the wordplay, and very strong on the kind of asymmetrical kind of rhymes, like you mentioned, like where it's kind of half of one line and then like another part on the next line. It's kind of divided up and lopsided, but
one of those bridge is one of my favorite bridges.
So is a 15-year-old, so I guess that works.
Yeah, or like
like still gestating a bit.
Or like to the point of like if he's really having a conversation with himself or examining himself, then the soft versus the hard, you know,
Fragments,
the verse versus the chorus, and the dynamic difference and contrast, or the lines where like maybe he would take a thought that he had in his youth and kind of bend it a bit to be a little less cynical or a little less negatively judging him or viewing it through a different filter
more
of maturity.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really like how programmatic that is. I think that's really cool. Agreed.
The man is talented.
Well, and
Yeah.
him
This
saying,
is
like,
one of
his
my-
younger self saying that he is metaphorically dead. Like what a slap in the face that is going on there.
What were you
Such
saying,
a
Allie?
teenager thing.
Oh, I was just saying, so this is one of my favorite songs from the album. This
Mm.
and the song we'll be doing
Glitterbug.
next week. Yeah, Glitterbug. Yes, Glitterbug's my number one best song.
We're not gonna talk about that song here today.
Good. That's not what I signed up for. But this and Here Today and Yesterday. I think these two songs together are such a great, they're a good dichotomy. They're a great way to end the album, ends the album on a really strong note. And these are my two favorite songs back to back.
Can someone break down the metaphor of the train for me?
Spent his whole life on the train just to get out of the rain. Okay, here's what I'm thinking. A train is on a track, right? So if the young version of you is like, I want to be a car or a horse, I want to go off the trail, off the beaten path. Yeah, I want to be an all-terrain vehicle. Whereas you're on the track, old man. You're just staying on the track. You're not doing anything. You're not breaking the rules. You're just going following the track. That's kind of how I interpreted that.
Because
I
then
always kind of
you do that in order to, the rain is kind of the sorrow and despair, so that the person is staying on the track in order to avoid the sorrow and despair, but can't avoid it after all.
what comes to my mind is the thought, like when you're in a rainstorm and like you duck in someplace, just like it doesn't matter where it is, it's just because you don't want to be in the rain. Like that's kind of what it makes me think of, like spent his whole life on the train, just got out of the rain, like a place where you're there just because it's dry, it's a circumstance that you're there. But you don't
I really
make,
like that.
You don't make
I like that.
a conscious choice. Like you're not like, I want to be here. You're just kind of
So I think that's a really astute, Allie, because when I think about this from the youth versus the middle age kind of aspect of it all, I think as we get older, we tend to kind of prioritize our comfort a little bit, and it's like, man, I paid my dues. I've been out there in the rain. I just want to be dry and warm, and I think, the I don't think it's true, but I think the prevailing sort of stereotype is like, oh, when you're young, you're scrappy, you're hungry, you're fighting for it or whatever. And then like, I think younger people look at older people and they're quick to judge them and be like, oh, well, you're just staying on the train to get out of the rain. I'm out there kicking the mud puddles and doing whatever, so it's like, I think that there's validity in both views. That's the interesting thing, because it's not, I don't think that the young person is necessarily wrong, but I think that they're seeing things from one perspective, and the older person would have a little more perspective, right? And be able to hopefully remember what it was like to be that age, but also be like, okay, but I can also see these other things that I didn't really understand when I was younger. So I think there's validity in that criticism. That's probably what he's trying to like process, is like, how much of this is valid? How much of this is just me being kind of stupid and young and not knowing what I'm talking about? Which is why I think, so young, so wrong, so long.
Well, and I like the fact that he is saying these things about himself, and that he's also, like, Steven is very hypercritical of himself, and very self-conscious. But at the same time, there's a part of him that realizes that, like, yeah, this is what my younger self would have said. However, there is wisdom in the years that have gone behind me at this point. And we get that in that last verse when his wiser older self gets the chance to respond, but instead of like pulling his younger self in close and giving him a wisdom smackdown, just says, I thought that I was a sellout too, but you know what, I was young, I was wrong, and that's why I'm writing this song, because I can see that I'm not a sellout, that I'm still sticking to my roots, but at the same time I've learned some things and I do things differently now for a good reason.
Well, I think, just my own personal journey with songwriting is I write stuff that's much more emotionally vulnerable now. And I do wonder what my younger self would have thought of it, because I definitely was a lot more opaque with my lyrics back then. And I probably would have thought it was a little sentimental. I probably would have thought some of the stuff I'm doing would be like, ah, man, I don't know. But like, when I look back at it now, I think it's really brave to be, just kind of wear your heart on your sleeve and do something that's really vulnerable and emotionally honest. Like that to me is more punk rock than being cynical and sarcastic and like, oh, I don't care about anything. I think the real punk rock is sincerity, right? So like that's kind of how I've progressed, and I wonder if that parallels his journey.
Well, I think it's really interesting that we often have said that Steven is Steven's part that he brought to BNL, that he continues to bring to his individual and independent songwriting, is that he is that person that is very self-conscious and self-critical and willing to put his heart on his sleeve, and also like sometimes takes it from another person's point of view, but tells that same type of story, but that his younger self wouldn't be behind that. And you could listen to the early BNL, and yes, there's a lot of truth behind that, and that he wasn't as self-critical in the first album. Second and third albums, he definitely starts to kind of delve more into that. But even in Gordon, we still get Brian Wilson, which is this very deep critical look at himself and his songwriting. And it's interesting that his younger self would have been like, oh, that's so self-indulgent. I also, and I've been talking a lot. Oh, go ahead.
At the risk of being redundant, the whole 15, being 15 and the whole train thing kind of reminded me of, like, I don't know how Canadian schools work in terms of like college prep classes, but 15 is kind of the age that you kind of start thinking about if you want to go to college and what you want to study and the college prep classes.
What track you want to be on.
That's the track. Yeah. I mean, and some people would hop to a safe train, a safe track to get out of the rain, because they're like, you do feel pressured to pick
absolutely
direction that you're going to go academically. So maybe it's academic, maybe it's just globally, like, what do I want to do with my life, or some other combination. But
yeah, I think at that age, though, you're definitely thinking about your future and like where you want to go, and that can be really overwhelming at that age.
Super. And then you just end up picking liberal studies, and then later you decide you want to be a vet tech. But for instance,
I mean, just throwing it out there.
Just theoretically.
It would be interesting, and at some point I would love for myself to sit down and do that, what Steven does in this song. It takes a lot of honesty and introspection and willingness to be humbled, to look back and ask yourself the question that he does with this song of, what would my younger self say about my current self? I won't. It is also an extremely personal thing, so I'm not going to ask each of us to do that. But I'm just saying, like, to do that journey, that is a very brave thing to do.
I agree. I think honest introspection is really difficult. It reminds me of, not to get too precious, but it does kind of remind me of The Never Ending Story, right? With the Mirror Gate, Like,
Mm.
well, why would that be so scary? Like, well, most people are really afraid to see what's really in their heart or whatever, you know. So it's like, yeah,
Mhm.
taking an honest look at yourself can be frightening, but I think it's also extremely character building, extremely important, you know.
And we don't have one of the things I respect about Steve with this song though is that Steve doesn't do it in a way that he is building himself up and saying positive things. He's not like, oh, my younger self would be so proud. I've got gold records on the wall. I'm part of this huge band. Like my younger self would be so incredibly proud. He's like, no, my younger self wouldn't be. I'm proud of who I
My younger
am, but
self
my
would call me a
younger self would not be.
Stella.
But that's what we respect about Steve is that honesty too. So
Yeah, well, he's also saying like, there's there's more to it than my younger self would have thought. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? So I think that's also a huge part of it is to say, okay, well, there's all these other factors that I didn't think about, and and people change, people grow, and that's a good thing.
I also want to come back I have one more note, which is the bridge. And like I really enjoy how he changes up the rhythm of that bridge with the I don't know if you'd call it 16th notes or 8 notes, but like da 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 da, like he picks it up and then slows it back down for a couple of bars, then picks it up again
Mhm.
and slows it back down, and it's almost like he's in this literal fight with himself where the other person is just verbally berating him, and just hit after hit.
I read your book and I stole your look, and now it's sad how much like that you are a star who's burning out, no doubt. You burned out long ago. You once stole the show, but now you steal my views just to keep yourself alive. You are me at 35.
Yeah, well, that one thing that we've kind of always said on the show is that we really adore the way that Steven kind of like cuts to the quick, in the bridges. Like he really gets to the heart of things, and like sometimes he's kind of cagey or dances around things, and then in the bridge is like, oh, there's the emotional sucker punch. There's what this is really about. I think it's more of a slow burn in this one, but I do think that the bridge has that weight, and again, I like kind of the programmatic. It feels kind of like a tug of war,
Mm.
Well, does anyone have other notes that they wanted to make sure they got to?
A lot of talking when you're 15.
I probably will wake up at 3 a.m. with some, but not right now.
Yeah, shower thoughts.
I can't say how many
Bridge
times
thoughts.
I've been going back and listening to BNL stuff, and I'd be like, "Oh, I should have said that during that episode. Oh my gosh!" And I know I'm going to have those same moments with all of Steven's stuff too. So that's the
Yeah.
great thing is you can always discover new and wonderful views and ideas with these songs. But we do have to put it to bed. And so I guess at this point we should talk about some numbers. Let's see. I don't know, what should we give a rating system this week?
Like either burned out
Trains.
stars or dead souls.
Oh,
The grocers.
Oh, grocer! How many
The
grocers of
Grocers of
despair?
Despair.
I like
I
that.
do
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. Yeah. How many songs to
How many
slit your
letters?
wrist by? No, how many grocers of despair?
Ooh, that's
That's one of the things that they said
That's
about Leonard Cohen
Talk about railroad tracks.
is that his songs were songs to slit your wrist by.
2. 5. Which preposition?
He took honor in that. So, so Allie, you haven't been in here in a while. Why don't we start with you? How many grocers of despair do you give this song?
we're out of 10, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we've moved on to 10.
I think I'm gonna go with 9.7. 9.7.
Nice.
There's not I dislike about this song. It's one of my most listened songs on Vanity Project. I think the lyrics are clever. The beat is good. Okay, 9.7.
And I'm going to ask Aaron. Aaron, how many mirrors of Erised did
Oh.
you give this song?
How many?
Mirrors
what now?
of
Sorry.
Erised.
Mirrors
It's
of-
from Harry Potter.
Mirrors of Erised. Okay.
Yeah.
I would be honestly, I've been thinking about this. I'm going to give this song a perfect 10 Mirrors of Erised. I cannot think of anything that I would do to improve it. It's really, really good. I was humming it, even though I'd been listening to it over and over again to break it down.
In the kitchen.
It's going on my best of playlist, at the end of the show when we say,
Mhm.
but that would just be an 8 or above, I guess. But like, I really love this song. I think it's a really great song. So I can't think of much that I would say. No notes. 10 for me.
Yeah.
Okay. Betsy,
No, do me a laugh.
you are laughing.
You first, Tracy.
All right,
You
now I
first.
can go.
No, you gotta go.
But I get the feeling from where this is going that I'm going to end up being the hater somehow.
You were drinking the haterade?
I don't know how that happens this week, honestly. This song is like the Stephen Page that we're going to see in a few years for his solo work. Like, this is like an early shine of what he will later be kind of releasing, that introspective focus, the upbeat melody, continued willingness to be self-critical. We have a really good rock beat that's going on here. It is what I like most about Steven and Steven. I end up liking this song more and more as I repeatedly listened to it over the week and broke it down. And once I knew what it was about, I really grew to love it. I'm going to give it a 9.5.
Respectable. Very nice.
That leaves you, Betsy.
To thine own self be true. We're fine. We're fine.
Uh-huh.
No pressure.
I really liked the wordplay in this song and the thoughtfulness, and the subject matter is very relatable. The music is pretty good. I don't know. For some reason, it's not clicking with me. I was gonna be sophomore and give it a 6.9 because it's about teenagers.
What about a 6.7?
6.7. Vive la France.
Vive
I'll
la
never do
France.
that.
Vive la
Anyway, but the more we talk about it, the more I like it. So it's definitely risen up to possibly a
Listen to your heart.
7.8.
Okay.
Okay.
Nice. Respectable.
I'm not the hater.
Yeah, here.
Not here. Not
Cheers.
today. Definitely yesterday.
Ice cold haterade.
Which is still a very good
And
score.
speaking of which,
Yeah,
next
it is very
week in the future, we'll come back and discuss here today and yesterday. If that's not confusing at all.
I brought down the
We're not doing time travel.
Oh, wait.
When?
Who's on first?
When is now?
Nah.
When will them be
Just
now?
enough, huh?
Well, then will be now 1 week from now.
Okay. That clears things
You're
up.
welcome.
Thank you.
Mm.
Clear as mud.
Thank you guys so much for joining me on this wonderful discussion.
Of course.
Always a pleasure.
Yes, thank
Good
you.
to talk to y'all.
And
We'll see
have
you
a
next
great week,
week.
guys.
Me too.
You too.
Bye.